Rev up your engines! Alright, a lot of people like luxury SUVs, but they don't like the price. I don't blame them. Why not get a used one? This one just went for about 11 grand. It's a Lexus, and I'm going to show you how to check them out, what to look for, and see if you got a good deal or not. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's a Lexus, it's a luxury car, it's expensive to maintain. They really aren't. If they were taken care of, they can last so long. This one has 100-something thousand miles on it. We'll check it when we go in. But I've seen them with 300,000-400,000 miles on them. They are really well made. And in a case of buying a vehicle like this, as far as I'm concerned, you get a used one, you got a 2-for-1. As we look under the hood, the Lexus V6 engine, 2012 RX350. Two GREF engines are phenomenal engines. Now, for the power that it has, it gets 25 miles a gallon on the highway and about 18 in the city. If you just drive normally, it's a nice, luxurious car. They're all relatively gas hogs, especially in town. That's just how it goes. But at least they were smart. They watched my videos. They got a front-wheel drive one. They didn't get an all-wheel drive one because the all-wheel drive ones, not only do they get worse gas mileage, whenever you blow a tire, you got to replace all four or it messes with the all-wheel drive system. The transfer cases, the differentials, they get squirrely because they try to make them all spin the same, and if one tire's a different size, it messes it all up. So you don't have to worry about that in this. Look inside, this thing is pretty clean looking. The seat's not even torn. Yeah, these fade. You can restain them. You can dye them over and then clean them up. They look fine. You can see the other side isn't. And they got a lot of room there. As we look inside, they're very comfortable back seats. Got nice heating, air conditioned ducts. And as we check the back, you got a lot of room back here. You got a little door handle here. That's to take all this stuff off. And when you put those down, you got a lot of carrying space. One was made in one of my favorite places, Cambridge, Ontario. The Canadians do a great job. That's where my Matrix was made. No problems at all. What happened was, Toyota makes a lot of money selling Lexuses, right? It's the same company. And what they did was they stopped making the Matrixes in Cambridge, Ontario. And it was the first place in North America that they started building Lexuses. So now they make Lexuses there. And the Canadians do a really good job. Me, I'm a cheapskate, so I got a Matrix. But somebody at some point in time, this thing was a little over $40,000. Okay, they paid 11 grand for it. Hey, think about it. You could get 4 of these for one new one. Why not? My whole philosophy on buying vehicles is you want something that's good, that'll last a long time, that fits your needs, and is a good buy. And in terms of this, okay, they paid about 1/4 of the original price, but I've seen these things with 300,000-400,000 miles. So let's say this thing has still at least 2/3 of its life left. Well, if you paid 1/4 of the price and you get 2/3 of the use, to me that's a deal. But you never know. So let's get on my big fancy computer. Now the one thing I don't like is it's got a keyless remote. So we will push the button so the idiot lights come on. Turn our giant scan tool on. And see what happens there. Doing its thing, I hear it singing. We just do standalone, we don't need to keep any of this. We're just seeing if they're getting a good used car or not. They already read the VIN number, 2012 to GRFE V6 engine. Okay. Now these are well made, but this thing's 13 years old. You have to have a mechanic like me check it out before you buy. Do never, never, never buy one of these things. You know, if it's wrecked, flooded, stolen, or something happened to it, this machine will tell you. You can see it's going to do a giant topology scan, and while it's doing it, the dash is good and solid. I like these old dashes better. Look, the screen's down in here. It's not obtrusive. It's much nicer. It's got traction control. You can turn it off. It's got heated and air-conditioned seats. Hey, both front ones. The obligatory sunroof. I can't stand it myself. See here? It's got a real emergency brake. You push it on, push it off. Not one of these electronic crappers that brakes all the time. Okay, so let's start checking them out. A lot of them will probably be electronic nonsense from my experience of these. Intuitive parking assist. Doesn't work that good on these older ones anyways, but we'll see what it is. Here we go. Rear sensor communication circuit. Yeah, somebody probably bumped something in the back at some point in time. Probably didn't reset it, so we're going to erase the codes for now. Let's go to the AC system, see what that code is. PM2 gateway. And the trouble code. It's another one of those lack of communications. We'll look at the battery on their hood when we're done, see if that's been replaced recently, which they didn't reset if that's the case. Well, look at the AC system. Flow sensor circuit. Sometimes it's not flowing right. Maybe it was low on refrigerant. We're going to erase that code too. We'll see if any of them come back after we road test it. And we'll check to see what the ABS system, it's got a code. Exactly. Low or high power supply voltage. Bad battery does that, so I'm assuming the battery's been replaced or it needs replacing. And since this was a used vehicle, a lot of times they sit, the battery gets low. Used vehicles, when they sit, often will trip codes for communication or loss of voltage. It's very typical. Main body, I'll bet all these codes are going to be voltage and communication codes. Lost communication again, so we'll erase all those communication codes. The only code we're really going to care about is the main one, ECM. We'll see what that code is. Sometimes those mean something, sometimes they don't. So let's see what this trouble code is. All right, startability fault. When these things don't work right, you often get it, especially if the battery's weak. So we're going to erase that code too. The code's all erased, so let's start her up. And we'll look at live data. Black's good, red's bad. We're going to look at all this, and we're going to also analyze what kind of shape it's in for a vehicle that has 122,653 miles on it. Okay, the mass air fencer's good. That data, let's start looking around. Battery voltage is good, it's charging. We're going to check the battery though, just for kicks. Now the air fuel ratio, look, it's almost close to perfect. 0.995, only off a few. Oh, one was perfect for a second, so it's running good. It's cold, so the cat's cold, it's warming up, and you notice this has two cats. They're both running at the same temperatures, front and back. Readings of the oxygen sensors, you can see they're exactly the same in terms of ohm. So they're still in good shape, complete and good. So let's take it for a spin. Now the battery is just about exactly 1 year old. It should be okay. But we're going to check it, and it probably sat for quite some time. So, battery test. Turn headlights on for 10 seconds. So here we go. And it's 550 cold cranking amp, so let's see what it says. So, it's a good battery. Now the battery's fine, but they've been driving it for 3 days. Batteries recharge themselves. When they sit on a lot, it would have had low voltage, and therefore it would trip those codes. Or, could very well be, the battery's a year old. If somebody replaced that battery a year ago and they didn't reset those codes, the codes stay. It's not like the old cars. The old cars that had OBD1, when you disconnected the battery, the codes were gone, and then they'd start from scratch. These, it doesn't matter if you disconnect the battery. The codes still store in the computer until you reset them. So at some point in time, somebody didn't reset it. So let's take it for a spin. We'll see if anything comes back. We'll start her all up. Back her up. Got a little bit of backup camera. I like them a little bit bigger than that. You can see it works. The new ones are much better though. And the first thing I noticed, it idles like a dream. Smooth as can be. We'll see how the transmission shifts. You can barely feel it shift. You can hear a tiny bit, that's about it. Corner's nice and smooth. Now, this is a 2012, and the newer ones have a much tighter suspension. Some people would buy an Acura version of this instead of a Lexus because they like the handling ability, and the Lexuses were a little bit slower than the Acuras are, but hey, it's still a luxury crossover vehicle. I mean, it's very comfortable riding around, very smooth, nice and quiet. We'll take it to our little drag strip. See how it does there. I don't hear any wheel bearing or transmission or differential noise. That's in good shape, but that's typical with these. They're so well made. I'll go slow because there's somebody ahead of us, so now there's somebody behind us too. Well, that stinks. Well, I'll get out of the way. He's in a Dodge Charger, so he'll go flying by. What did I tell you? Away he goes. We don't have to worry about catching up to him. Get up here, we'll look behind. There's nobody behind us. And let's see what this old baby can do. Woo, it started to do a burnout, but then the traction control kicked in. This thing's got the same power it had when it came off the showroom floor. These are fun cars to drive. Sure, you're only gonna get 25 tops on the highway, probably get more like 16 in town, but hey, it's a luxurious car. And when you want to pass women, there's 40, we'll floor it. You can see, it picks up quickly so you can easily pass me. This is an extremely comfortable vehicle to drive around in. And they paid 11 grand for it. That is a good deal, the shape that this thing is in. They put off that it's 13 years old and has 122,665 miles. It's still probably got at least 2/3 of its life left. And if we want to compare it to other things, I just got both of my eyes done, lasers and new lenses put in, and this car cost about half what it cost to do both of my eyes. Little tiny eyes, or hey, 2 of these cars, or 1 eye. I actually had 1 eye done first, then the other, and it drove me insane. Seeing perfect out of 1 eye and all blurry out of the other. So, if you ever think about having that done, do them both, or you'll go insane if you have a good eye and then a bad eye. I always had 2 bad eyes. Now I have 2 good eyes. It's a good trade-off. And we come to a stop. Nice and quiet. Hey, the wood trim is still in excellent shape. Steering wheel's a little faded. They always fade a little. You can polish it up, re-dye it if you want. You can drive this thing with 1 finger all day long if you want. But the AC, everything works on it. Super quiet car. And it's still a fun car to drive on the little twisties here. Hey, it handles quite well. And it's high enough up in the air that you don't feel like you're going to get stuck in little bits of water like you would on a really low down to the ground car. That's another reason it doesn't get such hot gas mileage. The aerodynamics aren't that great. You get an SUV that's up in the air, of course it's going to have more wind resistance, so the gas mileage is never going to be phenomenal. Heck, the only thing I can find wrong is this rip on the glove box. That's it. Somebody tore it. The used Lexus. Excellent shape. 1/4 the price of a brand new one. It's still got tons of life in it. Smooth. Everything on it works. It's not like you were buying, let's say, a used Audi or BMW or Mercedes that with 120,000 miles, it would be an endless money pit ready for you to fall. These are not that way if they were taken care of. And whoever owned this before they bought it, hey, they took pretty good care of it, or they just changed the oil and filter, and that's all you normally have to do to the things anyway. But like I say, you got to get them checked out by a mechanic. You don't know if they're wrecked, flooded. I had a guy bring me one that was burning oil because the previous owner never changed the oil. I even had a customer with one of these. He went 100,000 miles before he changed the oil for the first time. So I said, did it burn any oil? He said, you know, the first 70,000 miles, it didn't burn any oil at all. Then they had to put a quart in every 4,000 miles. Needless to say, the engine was in rough shape by the time he brought it to me with 100-something thousand on it. But this thing's been taken care of. Hey, you're looking for a luxury vehicle like this? I'm telling you, look used like they did. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.